Record to the cloud. Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to this full moon meetup. My name is Jennifer Barish. This event is brought to you by the Astro College, formerly known as the IAA International Academy of Astrology, the oldest online astrology college in the country. The first was formed in 1997, and I'm so fortunate that I get to be a part of the staff here at Astro College. And so, but beyond that, it's a big old full moon tonight, and we've got an eclipse as well. This is the full moon eclipse for August 28th of 2026. It's in Pisces. It's at 4 degrees Pisces to be exact. And it happens here on the East Coast where I'm recording at 12:19 a.m. Yeah, right after midnight. So it's also a eclipse that you can see if you're on the East Coast. You can go outside tonight and you'll start to see the shadow of the Earth going over the moon. It should give it a reddish color. Yeah, you'll start to see it probably even before midnight, probably even, 11-ish or so. So it's worth going to see, and even earlier than that, if you've been out the last couple of nights, you've seen that big old full moon in the sky, and just know that the energy is ripe. And in Pisces, the water sign, it's bringing in the water. So if you've been feeling a little emotional or a little just maybe even drained or sleepy or tired, that is very appropriate for both a full moon and eclipse energy. So welcome. We're so glad you're here. And please know that this energy is in effect all the way for a week after the eclipse. So this being the 28th, you've got until next week on Thursday, which I think is the 3rd, that you can see things happen. So we've been in an eclipse window because eclipses come in pairs generally. And we had one at the new moon 2 weeks ago on the 12th. And even a week before then. And my eclipse story has to do with our family cat passing away. My Oreo, who was 16 years old, his kidneys started to fail. We got him to the vet right kind of at the end, and they said he's in stage 4 kidney failure. And so he didn't make it to eclipse season. But I've heard that story. I've heard so many people losing pets, but what this is affecting is Pisces, and then the opposite of Pisces on the wheel is Virgo, and Virgo is significant of our little small pets, our little friends, and our health. So we need to be watching our health. And then of course back to Pisces has to do, with the water, the oceans. You could slip and fall. That's another story, slipping on something. And I did get a phone call today. Someone slipped and fell and hit the back of their head. Luckily, after an MRI, no concussion, but we just need to take extra care during eclipse time.
Look at
So,
her slipping.
yeah, yeah. So I would like to share my screen so that you can see. I put together a little PowerPoint for us tonight,
Roll.
which hopefully will help to keep me organized as well and not take up everybody's full evening because I can get chatty, which sometimes we appreciate, but sometimes we might just want to go out and look at the moon. So let's go do that. All right, so first up, this is what the chart of a full moon looks like. Now, when you see this, and don't freak out, you're like, I don't know what any of this means. You don't have to worry about it. I'm going to talk about it. But it's basically, if you took this and you held it up to the sky, it's a picture of what the sky looks like and where the planets are. So you might recognize that there is a moon here at the top of the chart, okay? And there's the sun down here. And each one of these little symbols stand for a planet. Now, if you're a practicing astrologer, a baby astrologer, just into astrology, you might recognize some of these symbols. And we'll talk about it. But I start usually with full moon meetup just by talking about, you know, the sun and the moon are opposite. You can see that really easily. They are opposite here, and this red line is their relationship with each other. And so
Trying to figure out how I share her, but I can't turn the.
when
Oh, no.
things are in opposition, it can feel like you're being pulled apart, like you're at odds, or almost like, if a magnets, you've got them turned at the on the wrong side where they don't attract each other and they kind of push against each other like a friction. That is the energy of the full moon. So you felt that before. And not every full moon feels as harsh as another one. Part of it depends on what is in your personal chart. So this full moon is going to be felt more by not only Pisces and Virgo, but also the other mutable signs. We've got Gemini and Sagittarius. So if you've got either of those four flavors in your chart, you're more likely to feel the effects of this full moon eclipse the most. And an eclipse, by the way, is like given 10 times the power to the full moon. So it has an extra charge. The one that we had at the new moon was an outgoing energy eclipse, which made sense for my poor little cat, Oreo. But the one coming in, or the one that we're having tonight, is incoming energy. So something new is coming in. And so it's sort of like just the natural tides of life where something has to go in order for something else to come in, right? And so, but I think of it as like a month of unrest. And we had two eclipses in the spring and March. We've got these two in August. Now, sometimes there can be years where there's up to six eclipses. But this year we just had two sets of them. So I just kind of think of those as like transitional times of the year. And I like to know when they are so I can plan a little bit for it. So there might be an eclipse story that started in March, something that happened in March, and you're noticing energy around it right now in the past few weeks. Like it could be a storyline that began that's kind of ending. It could be something that's continuing on. My example is I have this building that we've been working on. I'm going to open a yoga studio and a place to host in-person woo-woo events. And this we actually bought it under the big eclipse in 2024, the one that was visible here in Ohio. Um, and so everything seemed to happen with this property, good and bad, during an eclipse season. And so I just noticed that. And so I invite you to notice things that are happening in your life because that's when you know the astrology is real to you. When you feel it inside of yourself and you're like, "Oh my goodness," and just honoring if you're a little, this is a water, Pisces is a water sign. If you're a little emotional, if you're a little weepy, if you're feeling a little just kind of tired and worn down, honoring that, letting yourself rest, letting yourself take the time that you need to be able to work through this. A good thing that you can do during an eclipse would be to take a bath, to get in water, believe it or not. An Epsom salt bath would be excellent. So if you have time to do that tonight, in many ways, many times that's a remediation that people will use. Eating light, trying to not get overly full, also being careful with too much alcohol or substances because the effect gets amplified with a full moon energy and obviously eclipse energy. So we want to be careful with that. Starting a new medication might not be a good idea during an eclipse because we don't know how it would impact us and could that be amplified? So just paying attention to what you're putting in your body. You might notice some swelling. I got a call today from a client who said that they had had a lot of swelling and they actually had some fluid drain. They have congestive heart failure, a long going case, but they had just built up with fluid and they here in the last week had to go and have that drained. And so, that's a concern. So noticing, are my ankles swelling? What do you do for that? Maybe you need to take a walk, and noticing not just today, tonight, but over the next week. just taking care of your body, because this is a healthy kind of eclipse where it's on that axis between Pisces and Virgo, because Virgo is the sign of health and good health and trying to take care of our health. So other things about this full moon. I put together this little list just to help as I'm talking about it, to help you, and probably I can make this available. I'm stopping because I'm like, okay, maybe I can put this in the notes. I don't know. I'll figure out it if someone wants it. But the first piece is talking about the water and the significance of an eclipse in Pisces. Yes, I said incoming energy, but a full moon generally in Pisces, which we'll have one every year, right? During Virgo season. So if the sun is in Virgo, that full moon that year would be in Pisces. And that generally is like completion energy or understanding something or dissolving something. I also heard the word unraveling, like something like a knot can get untangled, it can get unraveled, there can be some processing of something. So maybe just sitting with those 4 words or 5 words when I add unraveling, what is completing for you? What is dissolving for you? And it doesn't have to be a huge thing. It can be something very simple. It can be, you've had a conversation with someone, everybody is so polarized and people aren't always seeing eye to eye. And maybe you've been able to untangle, a conversation so you can restore friendship again, or it could be something like our pet, Um, it's hard to say unless we look right at your chart, but you'll know inside of yourself how you feel. And it might be something that you reflect on after the case. So it might be next month when you start to look back and say, what completed for me? Could be a project at work. What do I understand more than what I knew before? What might be dissolving? So the other thing I have on this list after that is the eclipse on the North Node. It's the last of a 2-year series in Pisces, because if we look at the chart, you will see that the North Node is right here. It's next to the moon, okay? And this is the South Node right here. Well, right now they have just this summer moved into Aquarius and Leo. They were in Pisces and Virgo for the past 2 years, and actually, the eclipse 2 weeks ago, the solar one was in Leo, so it started kind of a new cycle. But it seems like we're going back to something, a storyline that's been going on. Those nodes change signs every year and a half. So for the last couple of months, we've had the North and South Node in Leo Aquarius, but prior to that, for a year and a half, it was in Pisces Virgo. And so, given that we're having it kind of dip back and we're having this Pisces eclipse, it would lead us to believe there's an old storyline, something that's kind of from 2 years ago is resolving or coming to closure, or is getting fixed, or maybe something that's been a problem is starting to show signs of being worked out. A kind of a change. New energy is coming. So that is a good sign. I think we could all use something energetically new coming in. And unfortunately, sometimes we have to let things go in order for that to happen. Okay. So the next thing, well, there's lots of things, but I think it's important to note there's something called the finger of God. It's a formation in a chart. It's been here for a few days, and it's actually the formation that Dolly Parton, I feel like, took her home. If you look right here, this is the sun, and there is a sextile between Neptune, and this is Pluto here. This and there's two inconjuncts between these planets and the sun. Doesn't matter if you don't know what that means, but this triangle that's pointing down at the sun. So it's been in range in that place for the past 2 or 3 days, and it'll continue on for a bit. And that formation is known as a finger of God. It brings action. It's as if, you know, I guess the thought is that it's also called a yod, but that God would come in and something's going to happen. And, days will come. We have fingers of God all the time. So it's not that like oh my gosh, just once in a lifetime thing. No, they happen frequently. I just find it interesting with this energy and that it has this signature on both the full moon and the eclipse. It feels like something significant is happening in the Virgo house. So I would be looking to my own personal chart where I have Virgo. If you're a Virgo sun, you're probably feeling some of this, some ending, beginning, something significant happening. And Dolly Parton's moon is a low degree Virgo. So I feel like that was part of her saying, and I'd recently heard, I didn't know this, that she had cancer or had long-standing cancer. So she had been low, she had been down, and the eclipse is coming in, and an eclipse is like a power surge or power outage. Whenever one of the bodies gets covered up and we can't see it, in this case it's the moon, for just a minute it's dark and we can't see it. And it's kind of like if you took a surge protector and you hit the off button and all the power goes out for a moment. And it's like stillness. We can't have all of our electronics on. But then you push the button and everything comes back online and it's like there's a surge. So kind of think of it that way. And unfortunately, we lost our poor Dolly. I mean, I grew up in Kentucky. I'd posted on in Astro College's community. It's not far south, but I grew up with Dolly Parton being an idol in our family. My grandma was a single, independent, really feminist, powerful type woman. She owned her own farm. She did farm work. She could drive a tractor. She drove a pickup truck. I remember being a little girl. She had horses. We drove some horses to Tennessee in a big long horse trailer, and she had a dually truck which has like four wheels on the back, this big wide truck, and it was a standard. So she's shifting gears, and I'm a little girl, and she's like, so I was Granny Sugar's Plum, and she said, "Okay, Granny Sugar Plum, let's go and we're gonna take these horses down to this farm in Tennessee." And it was, I don't know, 2 hours, 3 hours down and back. And there she is with that 5 speed. And I'm just like in awe, like, wow, I always thought my granny could do anything. And that's how I kind of feel about Dolly Parton. So it was significant to me. It was kind of sad and sorry. It just, it's kind of shocking. But, if she was sick, I'm glad that she found some peace. And more about that in a few minutes. So, other things you will see in this chart is notice that there is this big red triangle here. This is called the square. Now, it's a triangle. You're like, why is it? That's just what it is. Whenever we have a square between this planet and the moon, this is Uranus. And then we have a square here between Uranus and the sun. And then, of course, you have the opposition of the full moon. And so a T square is what it's called. But it can be a point of irritation or a point like a kickoff. Almost think of it like a diving board, and it is bouncing up and down, and it's like something's going to happen, so, before the jump. And Uranus is the planet of surprises. So it could be, something unexpected. It could be news that you get. It could be a big idea, an aha about something. It could be Uranus is also the way that we show up differently in the world, like how we present ourselves. Like it's we all beat to our own drum in some kind of way, some more than others. And so this might be somehow that's being shown that you're beating to your own drum. It's quick, that energy, that idea, that thought, things are coming in quick. This really aligns with some of the conversation around the first eclipse at the new moon in Leo. This series, it's Sarah Series 10. This is from Bernadette Brady's book, The Eagle and the Lark. It said inside of it, at that eclipse point, that we would be breaking out of a negative situation where no hope can be seen. Oh, someone's coming in. There we go. Breaking out of a negative situation where no hope can be seen to a more positive space with many options. A worry will suddenly clear. The solution is shown by the cosmos and needs to be taken up without delay. So that Uranus piece, that's the without delay. Something fast and quick. It's coming in and it's going to resolve quick. It's going to happen quick. You know, sort of the way that my little cat passed away. I mean, as soon as we knew it, I took him to the vet and I knew he wasn't well. They did tests and then the next day they're like, we need to put him down. And it was just like, whoa, what? You know, and I don't completely know Dolly's story, how that, happened. I don't think they're sharing all the details yet. But I have to think there was something quick that happened there with that Uranus, and still could happen. So with Uranus in play, it makes me say be careful. If a Pisces eclipse can be a slipping hazard, or you could take a fall. And I told you a client had called who had a fall and was like, what is going on? I'm like, well, it's the eclipse. Just taking care. I had another client talk about having been in a car wreck in the last couple of weeks. They were taking their cat to the vet and looked down at the cat and then ended up hitting something. So it's they're okay, everything's fine, and it doesn't mean that it's doom and gloom and disaster. It's just, let's be careful. Let's watch walking down the steps without the lights on, not slipping in our socks, or just taking extra care, because it's Pisces. Pisces is the sign of the feet. In medical astrology, it connects to your feet. So how are your feet doing? Like, I have plantar fasciitis. It's been acting up. My foot is sore right now. Maybe you wore some sandals and you got a cut on your toe. It rubbed a mark, and you need to make sure you put medicine on it so it doesn't get infected, or a mosquito bites you on your ankle. It can be small. It doesn't necessarily have to be big, but being careful with our feet, because Uranus is keeping things kicking. So it's either a fast action or maybe it's a fast thought. An epiphany comes in about something and you're like, whoa, mind blown. I figured out this problem. This is how I can solve it. Here's how I can fix it. And so this energy is going to go on, for yet another week. So just being mindful of that and watching that. Okay. So then the next thing that I had on here, which I skipped around a little bit, is that this eclipse is happening at 4 degrees, and 4 degrees has been a hot spot this summer. For our astrologers in the house, there's been a lot of conversation about the Barbeau basket. This was a formation that in the chart actually looked like a little basket with all the aspects. The idea was from a French astrologer named Andre Barbeau, and there was a lot of controversy about what that basket particularly meant. But I just want to show you, if you look back at the chart, do you see the blue triangle here? This is a piece of what's left of that formation in the sky. And this is going to be ongoing for a while. And when we see a small triangle in a chart like this, it's called a minor talent trine, and it brings flow. So the flow is between Pluto, the planet of power, and Neptune, which is dreams and illusions, and it can be our image. And Uranus, again, talking about Uranus, which is how we stand out in the world. So let's see. I made 3 key words. So imagine for Neptune, powerful for Pluto, changes for Uranus. Imagine powerful changes in your life. Where are powerful changes showing up for you? And this full moon eclipse has a signature of those powerful changes, which is So exciting. Can we all use some powerful changes? Maybe, or maybe we're Earth and we are an Earth sign and don't care for changes much. And I understand that. Change is coming, friends. It doesn't signify whether it's going to be big or small in your chart, but generally with an eclipse, there is. And we're entering a new season soon, right? Here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're entering the fall. Autumn is upon us. Pumpkin spice lattes are already here, but we're going to be thinking about that. So we're entering a season of change. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, spring is coming. Winter is almost over, and spring and flowers are on their way. So, a harbinger of that kind of change potentially. However, what's really interesting about this talent trine is that a little further down in this, I have Dolly's chart. Look at what's in her chart. Pluto, powerful. Neptune, were my words? Imagine, and Uranus changes. She was a change maker. This is the exact type of talent trine in Dolly's chart as what's in the sky right now. I mean, her energy was on the sky. That blew me away when I saw that. I was just like, oh my gosh, there it is. Now, there are other things about Dolly's chart. If you see, she had so much Capricorn energy. She was a 29-degree Cap. That's a hard worker. That's a CEO. That is the boss of the applesauce. And Dolly was in her world. She ran her world. And I find it so cool as well that she had Uranus on the midheaven, which I did not know. She stood out. She beat to her own drum. She sure did. She dressed however she wanted to dress. She has led so many movements supporting, the trans community and gay rights, and you just being whoever you want to be, and women included, women's rights. And so, that speaks differently to depending on the viewer, but it says multitudes for me about Dolly and what she was able to do in her lifetime with those movements. So she carries that energy. And then her moon being in Virgo, she's a 0-degree Virgo moon. Let's jump back over here to the eclipse chart. Look, the moon is at 4 degrees. The sun is at 4 degrees. So that sun, that yod, was linked up right to her moon. So it's powerful stuff. As astrologers, it can be, different people claim that they can predict certain things. I would never be able to go into a life and death type of situation. But if I looked at this chart and I did a reading for her at the time, I would say, something's coming in. Big or small, I don't know. That's above my skill set, but definitely something. Barbie, did you want to add?
Yeah, I did want to add because she wasn't the only one that passed. We had Tim Curry.
Yes.
Okay, and then just another one. Gosh, I can't think.
One today. Somebody passed away
Yeah,
today.
but there's a clue to all three of them.
Okay, what is it?
They passed at the year 80. All of them.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, her and Tim Curry were 80, but I didn't know about the one today.
Yeah, and so that was another thing. And so I started going down like a thought process. And so I wanted to go back, I think it's 1946, and look at the eclipse then, and when they came in, because that's something they came in at, and they're going out on in this one. So I'm trying to think of the other person who passed, or famous person that was 80, but there's three of them, and they went boom, boom, boom.
Well, and isn't the Uranus return at 84?
At 84. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the 80 just was interesting to see all three 80.
Right.
And
it is
if you were thinking, and I was wondering if Dolly Parton liked wolves, because one of them who passed just recently, he it was something about wolves. And Tim Curry, when he did his acting, he had a wolf type thing, you know.
Really?
So yeah, and like he dressed up like very, kind of he dressed
Well,
up. I
I,
mean,
I'm gonna, yeah, because he was in the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
yeah, and
Yeah,
so I was getting into this wolf thing. Does it have something to do with wolves? That
yeah,
whole that
maybe.
yeah. So you don't know. It's just all these things that can be brought out. But I just thought it was kind of interesting that they all had, 80, you know.
Well, that and given, she had a theatrical way that she presented herself. So now
Right.
I'm wondering about the third person. I want to go and see
I am
what's
trying to
up with
think for the
them.
third.
Like,
As
where
soon as
did
I get off, I'll
theater,
remember who it is.
right, where did theater come in for them? Well, what
Hmm.
really got me going about Dolly again, and I didn't even discover this talent trine until I was really looking at it. When I saw the moon, her moon was linked to this eclipse. I was like, okay, well, that's important. And then I saw the talent trine, but then when I looked at the Sabian symbol, look what it
Hmm.
is, a
Yeah.
church bazaar. And
Yeah.
what is a church bazaar?
That would be,
Well, it's a coat of many colors.
yes.
You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
but other things in ways that we might see for us. And by the way, Rosalie, a Sabian symbol. So there was he it was somebody who was around Jung's time. And I believe he was a psychic, had brought in, had channeled, had done some channeling work and had channeled these different images for each one of the degrees of each one of the signs. And it's just interesting to look at. It doesn't really mean anything astrologically, but to kind of see the signature. And I've noticed over time that whenever we look at these things, that many times it's kind of significant of what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And that's another thing, because the third person, I can't remember his name because it was John, my husband, who mentioned it this morning. It's a
Okay.
man that lived with wolves until he was 18. He lived with
Really?
wolves. He lived with wolves. And then he has a family and everything. And so he passed that 80 though. So he was
Right.
80, Dolly 80, and Tim Curry 80. And then this wolf thing came up, because he lived with wolves. But that's
Yeah.
bizarre. That's
It
bizarre.
is bizarre. Well,
It is.
speaking of that, look at the card I pulled this week.
Uh, See, isn't that crazy? That's
Isn't that
bizarre.
crazy? Oh
That's
my
crazy.
goodness.
That is crazy. And then
I've
I
got it.
ran.
I sit them in front of me just to keep an eye on it, and it was take care of your needs. It's
Yeah,
either
and
that
that's
or
really
something about
interesting.
the winter.
That's really interesting because I did run and I put it in the chat. That's just a few of the fixed stars and a couple
Yes.
of them are royal stars. But I did do the vibrations for this, and
Okay.
the highest vibration is 129, and it's devotion and accomplishment.
Oh,
So combines a deep emotional attachment, loyalty, and memory and longing with an exceptional organizational creative ability, strong potential for carrying an important vision from beginning to completion while protecting what is personally meaningful. And
wow.
that really brings it all to the whole with all of them.
Right.
If you
Well,
think
she
about
was
it.
definitely, she was very private. Nobody really knew about Dolly's private life other than her husband didn't want anything to do with her outer. And when she went home, she had this big image, but you don't really
Mhm.
know anything about her that
Yeah.
much.
Uh, yeah, so the fullness of, because it has a two, a vibe, and four, and an eight, and then the 129. But so the total
Okay.
altogether is really leadership, public recognition, independence, intuition, creativity, and ethical conduct. We talked about that. You talked
Yeah,
about it.
well, right
And
here,
yeah,
interacting with integrity.
and career and achievement. So
Wow.
that's what the vibrations, and for Roselle, vibrational astrology is just another branch of astrology.
Right, right, right. Well,
Yeah.
that's really neat how that correlates. So, see, that's yet another
It comes
layer.
together. It just brings it all. I mean, so when you look at these different branches of astrology, they have things. They're in a different language, but they come to the same meaning.
Yes,
You know what I'm
right,
saying, right? It all comes to
right.
the same meaning. Yeah.
Well, this idea of this image of a church bazaar, which is not exactly, that was hard to find an image for.
Yeah,
But
that is. Yeah,
the thought of, okay, well, a bazaar in like, so that would be somewhere in the Mediterranean or like Turkey or Istanbul
yeah,
was like
hanging out rugs and different things. Just
a
different.
public market,
Yeah, public market. Hmm.
like a flea market, like what
Yeah,
we would know as a flea market.
but
So,
very colorful, right? Very
right.
fancy. And so you think of all of them. Had a flair to them,
Yeah.
right? I mean, especially
Yeah,
Dolly.
each
Dolly
one
had a
of those
flair.
people. Yes, yes. Well, as soon as I saw the Sabian symbol, that's what came to me. I'm like a coat of many colors because that
Hmm.
was her and her way of acting with integrity. You got what you got. You might not have known about her private life, but she was very just like she told it how it was. She was
Hmm.
above board. And so many people have come forward and talked about what just a genuine person, but what just a nice, warm-hearted person she was to work around. I haven't heard stories of, oh, she's a diva or whatever. I mean, she very well could have, given all the things it took to put her together. Like,
Right.
she looks like she should have diva energy, right? But people have talked about, just what a really nice person she was. So
Mhm.
anyway, that piece of the church bazaar, but then bringing it into our own life,
Yeah.
what's sacred to us? Where do we find our sanctuary? What's our like inner church, and that might be your rituals. It might be a way that you're more mindful about how you take care of yourself because we got that Virgo energy in there, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And maybe making an everyday ritual or a sacred experience. I bet for Rosalie, it's going to the beach because I know she's at the beach right now, communing with nature and sand and ocean waves and,
Yeah,
really.
I was trying to show you some cattle, but they didn't come up. And because my husband John goes like, "What were you doing with the thing out the window?" I said, "I was trying to see if I can get a cattle for them, like cow or something, you know." So I figured I didn't know where everybody else is in, but this is cow country,
Yeah,
Lots of cow.
you're our cowgirl
Yeah,
out roping the range.
yeah. So
Yeah.
and
And
yeah,
I'm here in Cincinnati. There's not a lot happening here other than the heat's coming back next
yeah. We
week.
have the
So,
heat here, but we just got blessed with some rain, so a little bit. So
oh,
that's it.
good.
Yeah,
Good,
so
good.
that's good.
So you had said these other fixed stars. I'm just going to read
Yeah,
what's in the chat
yeah.
that the moon is conjunct fixed star Deneb Algedi, I think is how you say
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
And
Okay. No, the moon is. Oh, yeah. That one is the Neb Al-Gedi. Right. So that's more that intuition and intelligence and creativity, right, and
okay,
idealism. But then the moon
okay.
actually has another fixed star, and which is a
For
royal star.
is it Formahout?
Yeah,
Okay.
Fomalhaut. Yeah,
Okay.
and that one's more expression and your intuition and high ideals. So, um,
Well, maybe out of things that are changing or ending, maybe that's the newness coming in, the new ideas, the new
mhm,
thoughts. Here's a new way that I can do something,
yeah.
and right now, during a full moon, this shaky period with this eclipse, I mean, full moons are usually they initiate action, but I would just wait a few days. I would just cautiously, give myself 3 or 4 days before I'm really acting on something and
Mhm.
thinking about, giving yourself the time and the patience to think about, okay, what's my next move? Because there is inspiration coming in and you want to give yourself some time to sit with it, to
Yeah.
make some decisions
I,
about
I
how you're
think
going to move forward.
I'd like to be at the beach right now. I mean, I'd love to leave the country, but
Yeah, we want
yeah,
to go to the beach with you. She's
I
got to
know.
log off, she said,
Yeah,
here in a few minutes. And
yeah. I
that's
think we all
fine.
got to log off, so
Yeah.
we better finish up your
Okay. Yeah,
presentation.
yeah. Let me finish. So then what else? I talked about Uranus. Oh, the coat of many colors and believing in yourself. And like Dolly, taking what you have and making it enough. Isn't that what she did? I mean,
Hmm.
she was such a businesswoman. She didn't start out that way. She was so poor and she figured out how to make what she had work, and that is Virgoian in a way. A Virgo is resourceful. They will figure out a way out of, sticks and paper, whatever they've got before them. But Pisces is that deep imagination and, can think outside the box and can come up with I mean, many Pisces are creative people, our painters and our musicians, many of them have a lot of Piscean energy. So who knows what can come out of this for you if you're a creative person or you're working with a creative project. So believing in yourself, I would just say let's use this time to tap into our inner Dolly because I think she's coming through to us. And the other thing about being nice is, this is such a time where it feels like everybody's arguing about something. If it's not online, it is with neighbors, it's on the internet. I mean, it is just at work everywhere. And wouldn't it be nice if everybody were just kind sometimes? So I remind myself, I'm going to move my camera up just a little bit. If you can see my plaque behind me, be kind. For everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle, and I just think that's a little reminder, especially coming into election season. Things are going to get ugly. We've got it's not necessarily rough astrology, but not fully blessed astrology, that it's going to be a tough fall season, I think. And so, how do we tap into that inner kindness and maybe not let some of that negativity get to us?
I would think thinking about this Virgo, saying you're saying the Virgo moon, but here's the Pisces moon, right? You're thinking about it being more compassionate.
Yeah, Dolly's got the Virgo moon.
Yeah, she's got the
Sorry.
Virgo moon, but this here being more compassionate with that, Pisces. But the thing is like when you say, coming into the fall, what you can do, I've just become someone a gardener, the gardening some. My husband does more than I do, but to plant, you might plant seeds, plant things. There's things you can plant in the fall, tubes, like for to come up in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
So think about it, to plant something, right? That you
It's to
want
be
to harvest.
hopeful.
Yeah,
It's
that's
to
gonna be
be
hot. Yeah,
hopeful.
yeah. To do something, yeah, for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now Rosetta, she was speaking, like she just went and was helping family with kitty cat that's pretty old here, kitty cat. But now think of something for self. What can I do for myself?
Yeah.
Self
Yeah,
care.
that's a good thing. And especially honoring yourself,
Yeah.
today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, if
Yeah.
you're feeling a little less than vibrant, it's gonna come. This energy is gonna pass through just like any other energy or emotion, and then onward and upward we go. But I think there might be something good for us
Yeah,
left
well,
over from it.
there should be something good, because if you look at the South Node, it's on that fixed star Regulus, right? For
Okay.
me, for me, natally, I have my Uranus and Regulus. Now that fixed star has moved into Virgo, right? After
Hmm.
72 years, the star's moved, but so it's there, and it is actually because this is at a 4 degree, um, X almost at 5 degrees when you look at the sun at 04:54, so you're at 5. So you're really kind of out of that range to say that Regulus is close to, because it's like a 3 orb. But you have to say with the South Node, something coming in, right, from the past, right? Something from the past that will bring some familiar themes of leadership and recognition. And think about
Hmm.
that and bring that to yourself and say, I've done some really good things. I am good, and try to leave out all that negativity, like you're saying, things around you, right? So
Right.
sometimes they look at the South Node, they go like, oh, the things coming in from the past, blah, blah. But this is something going to come in that gives you recognition for what you've done.
Well, the other thing that's happening, it's not here yet, but I mean, they're in range for sure. Saturn and Jupiter have a trine. I don't
Hmm.
think it perfects until next week, But that comes from a storyline that was in 2020 when Saturn and Jupiter were together in the sky. So
Yeah.
they only meet, what is it, every 20 years? Is that right, Barbie?
Yeah. They have a long cycle, and they actually no, they actually Saturn and Jupiter, didn't they have they had a cycle in 2020?
Yeah.
They had a cycle
Yes.
in 2020,
Mm-hmm.
but here this is a applying trine because see, Jupiter is the fastest moving planet
Right.
at
Right.
12, and then Saturn's at 13. So you can say this is applying trine. So Jupiter's applying to Saturn. So, it's a different, it's not separating. So this is coming together. And the trine is something it's happening and you really don't really, it's there,
It's
right?
flow. It's
And,
just right. It's just
mhm,
flow.
mhm.
Like it can
It's
pass you by if you
automatically.
don't notice that things are working. So
Mhm.
if you have something that is, dissolving, resolving, unwinding, maybe some of the blessing is that there'll be a piece of ease to it. It'll just kind of do it itself. You don't necessarily have to push.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
That's what I would think out of that applying trine. That's a good point.
Yeah. So you have that. Yeah. So this is, you just and another, what I looked at my own chart, but that's, my own, but you go back, what I also do is go back in 2008, kind
Oh
of
yeah,
see,
because we're at another cycle, which
yeah,
is 19 years ago. Yeah.
yeah,
So what
yeah, you go,
happened August?
of
We
2008, yeah, and just kind of look at that family, kind of,
That was the last eclipse that was
hmm
in Pisces.
yeah. That was the last eclipse that we, these eclipses that we had in February, and then the one we're having now, it was the same flavor
Yes.
of 2008. Now it can be different, obviously, because we have these outer planets that have moved. We have several, and Uranus has moved, Neptune has moved, Pluto has moved. So this is different actions being taken, right? Subconsciously.
Okay.
Not, but and if you move, like I've moved, I don't live in the Midwest, and so I moved to Smithville, Texas. So for me, my planets have moved, and Mars is on my ascendant here, so it's kind of a little different, and I can
Well,
feel the
I
difference.
remember in August of 2008, I got two raises and a promotion, and
See,
I met my husband
so there you go. There's that
in
South Node
August of
coming in
2008.
with that familiar themes of leadership and
Mm-hmm.
recognition and status.
Mm-hmm.
See, so
Yep.
isn't that wonderful? I mean, so
I yeah.
and so I don't know, whatever
I'll
happens,
take it though, right? It's like, okay, universe, rain it down. I'll take it, whatever it is.
yeah, yeah. You just don't know what comes in, what comes out, and how it'll be. But anyhow, I probably gotta like Roselle, I gotta wrap it up myself.
Okay. Well, that's fine. You go when you need to. I just want to add the crystals and the essential oils and the helpers so that if someone's watching this and they
Hmm.
want to know that signature for Pisces, for essential oils, you would want to look at clove, at grapefruit, or peppermint that can be helpful. For gemstones, it would be things that are blue, aquamarine, moonstone, blue lace agate, which I think that's what I have right here.
That's really I have to say that is interesting because I've kind of pushed away from that color today.
Really?
Yeah, I
Wow.
was looking at I'm wearing a little bit of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, but yeah,
Huh.
it was kind of like I was just looking at a windbreaker and it was either black or that color, and I went for the black over that. I'm going,
You went for the black over that. Well, I
mhm.
wonder
But
what
I'm a
that has to
Capricorn.
say.
I'm
Yeah, yeah, ruled by Saturn. You're gonna go with the more traditional, the more elegant kind of a look. I
yeah,
know my daughter's a Cap, and so for her, her whole style is around black and white. She might
yeah,
have one little piece of color. So
yeah.
other things to be watching for before we are done is water stories. because this is in Pisces. Your
Hmm.
plumbing, you could have a plumbing leak. Uh, Slipping, I talked about. Oh, I did talk about our lymphatic system and our feet and taking care, because you could get puffy, you could be holding a little water during this eclipse. Things are watery or leaky. So if you've got, so some people have a cut or something and it's weeping, or they have a poison ivy and it's weeping, you need to go find your calamine lotion
Yeah.
because it's going to be weeping or you already know, today and tomorrow,
And,
it's kind
yeah.
of
And
that.
then, yeah. And then, so being in Pisces, the feet, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Anything
Taking
with the
care
feet.
with our feet, taking care of our feet. So if it's not wise to walk around barefoot, you're out on the street, put your shoes on. You don't want to step on a piece of glass or something and get your foot cut. So taking care of our feet in whatever way that is meaningful for us. Okay, well, I think I've said everything I need to say. Barbie, are we there? Do we feel
Yeah.
complete
I,
about?
I do, and I want to, thank you for the space that I ran the vibrations and looked at the fixed stars earlier, and I thought I'd like to catch
Yay.
this because
Yeah.
you always bring in the good stuff, and then when you said Dolly, I'm going like, oh, this could be interesting.
Well, good. I saw that church bazaar, and then after that aspect, and then seeing her Virgo moon, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so, not that you would know unless you're somebody who can predict this, and I don't want to go there, not to do with death, but, it was definitely a significant marker for her.
Well,
But she encourages me. How do we take our inner coat of many colors and just be proud of what we have and live life to the fullest and be true to ourselves, damn the consequences. Because that was kind of how Dolly lived her life. So she's inspiring me.
I'm just going to put in here that we have that 2 day basic, essentials, that you can. Luke is running. He's got, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, he's running the 2 day basic essentials, and there's a couple of other instructors that are doing that. But we also have the 10 week and that's going to be after the conference. But
Yeah.
it's something
So,
if
that
somebody's interested,
starts
just learning.
September
Stuff.
28th. Is that right? If you want to learn more about astrology, Astro College has beginner classes. We recommend Astrology Essentials, which is the
Mhm.
very beginner class. And you may think, I've been practicing astrology since 2018, and there are things that came out of Astrology Essentials I did not know. So it is worth going. It's a baseline for becoming a professional astrologer, but also for having a well-rounded practice and
Mhm.
really understanding the basis of a chart. And so, if you are someone who's looking for that, we have a special right now. I believe it's $95
Mhm.
um, to be able to jump into that. It's an 11-week course, I think.
Yeah, it's a 10 to
But
11
there's
week
a
course.
two
Yeah.
day
Yeah.
2 day intensive you're talking about.
Mhm.
I don't have dates on
Yeah.
that yet, though. Do you
Yeah, we
have
don't quite
dates?
have the dates. It's going to be like starting like September 27th, but the 2 day, if it's, I really say that's more recommended. If somebody has some knowledge, right? Something so because that 2 days is going to be a lot coming in, and it's just really going to get things going, right? But then the 10 week to 11 week one is where you get to do quizzes, do homework, and kind of get into the mix.
And
It's
take your
depending on,
time with it and being
yeah,
able to talk about it one
yeah.
on one, because that's what Astro College does differently is we have live instructors. Classes are live so that you actually get to talk and ask questions about what you're
Hmm.
seeing so that you can piece it together, because astrology can feel overwhelming. It can be complicated. You can look at all these symbols and get like, oh my gosh, analysis paralysis. But when you
Yeah.
have someone who's walking with you, then it makes it easier.
It does make it easier, and you get to work with your own chart and the charts of family members or famous people. But basically, your own chart. You get to then because when you work with your own chart, you get to know yourself, and knowing yourself can help others, right? You understand stuff.
Absolutely.
So I just
Absolutely.
wanted so that one. But the 2 day intense can be for anyone. But if you feel that you need to be one to soak it up more, we have to, the 11-week one. It's 10 weeks, and then you have a little exam, but you'll know it all by the time you get to the 10 weeks.
Yeah,
Even the
I'm actually thinking if I can fit it in my schedule, I would like to rejoin that again and
mm,
start over again.
yeah,
So
it's a good
you might
thing.
come with me and come and learn astrology, right?
Yeah, there you go.
All
All
right.
right.
Well, I think we did it. If you're coming to UAC, we have a table. Astro College will be there. I believe we're booth number 41. We're somewhere near the astrology bookstore. So come and visit us. Barbie's going to be there. I'll be there. Luke will be there. Rosalie, thank you for coming. And anyone else who's viewing this, very best energy to you. That's my wishes that what you've learned, you can use it to ride the tides of life just a little bit better than you did before. So, looking for those water signs and protecting those feet. So, until next month, which will be, gosh, that'll be our full moon in Aries. Wow, that's my full moon because I have a moon in Aries. So I'll have a story or two for us about that one. Um, but yes, we'll be back next month right before the full moon, and maybe Barbie can come and bring us the vibrational astrology as well, and be looking for a vibrational program starting up at Astro College sometime this fall. So if you are interested in astrology, our free community offers you a chance to just see people talking astrology. There are free events. There are chart sessions where they look at the chart like we did tonight. That's called a delineation. So you could join in a free chart delineation session just to see what's happening. We'll look at different people's charts just like we did Dolly tonight. And there are also workshops. There's a great one coming up about our sun, moon, and ascendant that Enid is teaching. It's only $15. I believe it's September 15th. But if you get
Yeah,
on
it's
Astro
September 15th.
College and you come and join our mailing list, you'll get emails and reminders about all of this as well as our classes, because you may be following an astrology program and not sure when the time is right for you. But at least if you're getting, and we do not overwhelm people with information, you don't get 49 emails a day from us. This is a professional organization. And it's there for you if we can help you. If you're, if you have a love of astrology or really looking to understand yourself, um, psychology at a soul level, astrology might be for you. That's how I got into it. Just real people using this ancient craft to be able to learn what we can learn about ourselves. So we would love to talk to you and help you out. All right, we did it. Full moon meetup, guys. Take care, and I'll see you next
Okay,
time.
next week. All right,
All
bye.
right, bye.